time. We're back with you guys and gals once again for another episode of the Heavy Galaxy Show. And we've got another very cool one for you folks today. As I'd like to welcome to the show from multi-platinum selling hard rockers Tesla. We're pleased to welcome guitarist Dave Rue to the show. Thanks for joining us, Dave. How are you, man?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, it's officially March Madness, Dave. Tesla, you guys are gearing up for the start of the band's Las Vegas residency, which actually starts tonight, March 17th, sold-out show at the House of Blues, St. Patrick's Day. I mean, 1 in 5 shows you guys are doing. Obviously, you got one tomorrow night on the 18th, and then you pick back up next week on the 22nd, 23rd, and 25th. So, Dave, a week in Vegas. I mean, hopefully you're not much of a gambler because, man, you know what they say, if you have a week in Vegas, man, a lot of that money you're going to earn this week, you could pretty much blow if you're not careful. You know?
Yeah, totally. No, I'm lucky. I've never been into gambling, so walking through the casino is just a whole lot of noise and flashing lights on my way to the coffee shop or the bar. Really.
Oh yeah. Well, Dave, talk about the residency. I mean, what was really the impetus, I guess, for the band making this happen? Was this something that someone approached you with, or did you guys always kind of want to do something like this?
I think they approached us. I don't know. I didn't have anything to do with the booking of it, but I've always wanted to do it, because I love Vegas. Even without the gambling, there's just so much stuff going on. It's just kind of a fun, place to spend a couple days. So and there's so many great shows, and then when more rock bands started doing residencies, I always thought, wow, that would be so fun. I really wish we could do that, but I always thought, we're sort of smaller than most of the bands that have done residencies so far. Like, it's more big arena bands that come and they build them a stage and they're fucking here for 3 months, and that whole deal's like, well, that's probably not in the cards, but the way this worked out, it's perfect, and it kind of seems like I've seen a few smaller, not small bands, but just bands that aren't huge arena stadium bands on their own. Starting to do these, and it makes a lot of sense, for fans, because if I wasn't in Tesla, I would still be a fan, and I would totally go to this, so and it's a weekend, like you can be living in anywhere, and you want to come spend 2 or 3 days in Vegas, see your favorite band, and have a good time. So I think it's a great mix.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that's what's really cool about it. Yeah, it's a destination city, and people are in a situation like this, people are actually coming to you, where it's not like you're going to their town, so it's a little bit of different. Now, I mean, as a musician, I mean, does that make you, I guess, do you feel a little bit, I guess, looser maybe, or just knowing that, everyone's coming to see us, and, is it making it a little bit more relaxed as an entertainer getting up there, knowing that it's more of that instead of you going to, traveling to a city?
Well, I mean, it's more, I think, we'll see, right? Because tonight's the first show, but I think maybe just the rest of our regular days will be more relaxed because we're not traveling,
True.
I love to tour and to see new places and all that, but it definitely is tiring, and it, after doing it for so many years, it kind of takes a lot out of you after a while. Again, I still love it. So, I'm stoked to, like, we're going out in April, and I'm, looking forward to just being on a regular tour where we wake up in a new city every day. And that's got a lot of cool, charm to it. But this sort of idea of being in the same place for so long is really unique, and to not have to be like, okay, well, now I got to pack up. Like, I'm in my room and, like, I'm leaving my shampoo out. Like, I never get to do that. Like after I wash my hair, I got to fucking dry it and put it away because I'm leaving in an hour. Like, there's like, wait, I can just leave it. Weird. Like, it's like you never get to do that. So it's those little things are fun. And as far as the show, I mean, I think for me, I would imagine for the other guys too, the show is always the show, right? It's the same, and just as far as like the intensity and the effort you put towards it. So I think the shows themselves are going to be really exciting, and it'll be interesting to see how it is playing the same venue so many nights in a row, because we've done 2-night stands a couple times, and they're really fun, and that is weird in itself, to be in the same venue the same 2 days in a row. It's like, whoa, this is strange. Like, you go into the second day for sound check and everything's already there. It's like, oh wow, it's nice for the crew. They have to tear down every night. So it's really fun.
Hey brother, I'm here in Vegas,
Oh,
So
cool.
I'll be there tonight.
Sweet.
So hopefully I get to meet you guys tonight.
Yeah.
Massive fan. So let's link up.
Absolutely.
Vegas is such a perfect concept for this residency. I've been for 12 years now, and it's just neat to watch it just grow. The idea of the residency. Scorpions not too long ago did one, and I saw you all with the Scorpions at the arena at TMAC or whatever it's called.
I remember that show.
I actually had a 102-degree temperature, and my wife thought it was fucking crazy. You know, I was like, I'm going. You know, and and that was really neat because you guys brought. You know, it was just unbelievable, great matchup of two bands. Were you a fan of the Scorpions? You know, when you were younger.
Yeah, for sure, and it was really, really exciting to do that tour. That was, you know, because I had already been in the band for a while, but you know, I think that was 2012, and it was, you know, what was originally their farewell tour. But you know, selling out every arena in the world kind of makes you want to stick around a little bit longer. So I don't blame them for shelving that whole idea. And you know, we did like a month or month and a half with them around the States, and because it really was that we talked to them, they were going to be done, you know. They marketed it like that, right? So everybody came out because it was their last time to see Scorpions, and it's, you know, it's a good match. I think Tesla Scorpions is a good fit musically. So, you know, geez, it was so fun. That was the first time that I had gotten to do like a full tour, doing arenas and seeing that side of it. We'd done big shows here and there, but never a whole like run. And so I'll always remember that because that was like one of the funnest things I ever did. You know, it's like, whoa, we get to play to this many people every night. Okay, I am excited about arena. And the Scorpions were fucking great every show. You know, they're like Def Leppard, like perfect every night. They never have a bad show. It's always fucking great. The songs are great. They sound great. They put on a show. The production's great. Everything is just like top notch. So and they still are. So that was really great to get to, you know, be a little part of.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, what's interesting is, you know, Scorpions have such a huge catalog, and set lists are always a big thing for folks, particularly some picky bastards like me. So now we forward to Tesla, who has a pretty darn chunky catalog as well. So give us a little insight. How do you guys decide on the set list? And give me a deep track or two I can look forward to potentially.
Well, you know, it's a set list is a constant struggle, right? No, I mean, just not really, but it only in terms of trying to fit in all the stuff we'd like to, you know, because you know, we rehearsed all week, that last week to get ready for this, and learned some new old songs, you know, and one new song, a cover, and we really want to change it up. So we're going to be pulling out some of these, you know, album tracks, but at the same time, especially Vegas being Vegas and residency and being a destination city, people want to hear the songs that they grew up listening to. And the reason, you know, the reason that they bought the ticket and walked into the venue in the first place is probably your like 8 biggest songs. So if you don't play them, they're going to be pissed, right? And so we have a limited sort of amount of slots that we can really change around too much. But so, you know, that way we get to play all the great, you know, classic songs that people are coming to hear, but keep it fresh for the people who come, you know, the repeat customers, because we got a lot of real diehards that come, that travel with us and come to, not with us, but, you know, they come and go see like 5 shows in a row on a tour where it's like in different states. So there's a bunch of people coming to multiple shows here. You know, we want to keep it fresh for them, but just make it an event, you know. So we're definitely building, you know, we're building the set list, and I think I can tell you 1 or 2 because we already did them. We did a show in Redding, California a couple nights ago, and we did Lady Luck, which was the first time, you know, maybe ever, definitely since I've been in the band, and that's almost 20 years, so a long ass time. And then we're doing an Aerosmith cover of SOS Too Bad.
Oh, nice.
That we made for, it's going to be on our live record that's coming out later in the year. Cool. So that was really fun to do live too. We did that live in the studio when we were rehearsing last week, and threw it on the album as a bonus track. So that's super fresh for us because we've never done it before, and that's a fun one to do live. But yeah, there's a few, we're digging out some fan favorites and stuff that we've never done. So I'm really excited to have that new element to the shows.
That's awesome, man. That's great, man. Yeah. One of the things, Dave, and you were just kind of alluding to it, one of the greatest things I think about Tesla really is that, that there's been very little changes really in the band's lineup throughout its career. I mean, you're the quote unquote newest member. Like you said, you've almost been there for 20 years now.
Right,
so
right.
You're not new in any way, but
I always say I'm the Ronnie Wood of Tesla, right?
There you go.
I'm always I'd be here for 40 years. I'm still going to be the fucking new guy, and I'm happy to be it. I'm
sure.
stoked to be in the room,
Yeah, no, sure. But having joining, you've joined the band when you were in your 20s. Now, obviously, you're in your 40s. Did you ever think back then that you would, still be here doing this 17 years later, playing with this legendary Northern California band, a band that obviously was huge in the Bay Area? I know you grew up there. I mean, this has got to be, I guess, it's a dream come true for a Bay Area guy like yourself.
Oh man, 100%. It really is. It's surreal when I think about it, and especially now that it's been so many years to think about how quick it all went, right? Because it's like it doesn't feel like 17 years at all, and like that's when I think like, oh yeah, back in 2012, like, God, that was a long ass time ago.
Yeah, I know it.
So, but it feels like 2 years. Like, oh yeah, a couple years ago when we were on the Scorpions run or whatever. But and so much has happened, right? We've gotten to do so many cool things, and it definitely is like a dream come true, and just the way it all happened in the beginning, because I never had wanted to join an established band. I was trying to get my own thing off the ground, and that's what I had always done for years, just trying to being the regular guy trying to make it in a club band and playing gigs and making demos and sending out packages to labels and all that shit. Like that's what I was doing. So I never thought, oh, I'll join an established band, but it all just sort of happened so organically, and it was just a lot of serendipity. It was like, whoa, this feels right. This is what's meant to happen. And so again, added to the surreal feeling of it all. But I'm again just really happy to still be here, and again it's like we're still so excited. Like it's still so fun, after even just my tenure, that it's still this fun, like that everyone's like, yeah, let's keep playing. It's great.
Yeah, no doubt. And another thing too, Dave, I mean, obviously just something I want to bring up. I know, unfortunately, we just, recently experienced the passing of the great Gary Rossington of Lynyrd Skynyrd. Of course, he was the only, original remaining member, obviously, from the legendary Southern Rockers. And I know the band, Tesla, I mean, has mentioned, you guys have mentioned, whether it's on social media or whatever, I've always talked about how big of an influence is obviously that, he was, and just the band, obviously Lynyrd Skynyrd was himself to Tesla. But as a guitarist yourself, I mean, talk a little bit about how Rossington and Skynyrd had an influence on you and your guitar playing personally.
Oh yeah, man. I love Skynyrd, and Gary was amazing, and it was it's a huge loss. We were lucky enough to do one show. I mean, again, since I've been in the band, we did one show when Gary was still there, in like 2013, 2014, and got to meet him and hang, and that was really great. And then just last year we did a whole run, like a good month or two with Skynyrd around the States, and that's when he his health was sort of failing, so he wasn't out at any of those shows, but Damon Johnson was there just kicking ass like crazy for him, and so they were still just fantastic shows, and I feel really lucky that we got to be in their orbit at all, and again how great they still are, but like all the classic stuff. I mean, Gary's, God, his playing, it's slow, it's slow and iconic. They're all like sort of vocal melodies, like all the ooh doo 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 ooh doo 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 doo. Like fuck, it's not that hard to play, but they're one of those are solos that aren't hard to play, they're hard to write, which is way more important. Anyone can go you can teach a monkey to fucking do that, but to write something with emotion and melody and just the perfect timing and phrasing, that's grown up shit. That's the real deal. And Gary's a king of that, you know? And,
they were
so that when go ahead.
No. Keep going, brother.
I was just gonna say that's you know, one of the main things I got from Gary. And then of course, like, I mean, he could still burn and stuff, and then all the other guys, you know, like the Steve Gaines and the Alan Collins, where they the more shreddier kind of stuff. So there was definitely the acrobatics, but done right, where it's just so, you know, unique and just awesome. And then so you get to have the different flavors of you know, what I think makes great rock guitar soloing, you know, like the slow hand melody stuff, and then the burning stuff, but always all three of them, whoever was in the band, was always really you know, singular in their voice. It always had a thing like, oh, it's that guy. Oh, it's that guy. And they're like, I don't know which one's doing that solo. Like, you can tell who's playing each solo, and that's also really important.
Yeah. Agreed,
and it's so wild that there's going to be 3 guitars, you know, not just 2, 3.
Dude, and what, a couple months ago before Gary died, he would come out on some songs and they'd have 4.
Yeah.
I mean, geez, I wish I got to see that, because that, you know, that would have been fun.
When you look back at, you know, your childhood and you're kind of growing through the rock scene, what do you like? Do you prefer 2 guitar bands versus 1 guitar, or you like it all? And tell us what 2 guitar bands really resonated with you early on.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you forced me to choose, I'd say I prefer 2 guitar bands. But I couldn't hold 100% to that, you know, because I love so many. I mean, fucking Led Zeppelin,
Iommi and Page.
Yeah, and Halen, like come on. I mean, those are some of my favorite bands ever. But definitely on the live thing, to have the second guitar, even if it's a dual lead guitar, to have whoever's doing the solo, the other guy's playing chords, it makes it so much fatter. Like, even those bands that I love, it would have been cooler with a rhythm guitar in the background when you're live, you know, however you want to slice it. It still sounds better when there's a rhythm guitar. And then, you know, like Guns N' Roses, probably my favorite band, you know, definitely has had the biggest influence on me as a musician, and, you know, sort of my whole life, because they were the ones that really got me into trying to do this. Like, I was already a musician and wanted to just be a musician my whole life, but it's what got me into being guitar and rock guy, you know, and so that's always sort of been the archetype for me, a 2 guitar band. And then, so again, one of my other really, really huge favorites would be Aerosmith, which, again, 2 lead guitar players and back and forth, and each guy has their own style, and it's never empty when somebody's soloing. And that's I also love Tesla, like dual lead guitar and back and forth, and two styles. And now to be in that, it's really, really special. And I guess, yeah, so I probably would, if I had to choose, I'd say I prefer 2 guitar bands. But I mean, yeah, Motley Crue, there's so many 1 guitar bands that are amazing. It'd be, you know, it's just sort of different shades of the same colors, you know.
I totally agree with you on the live aspect. I think it's a beautiful art, the 2 guitar thing. You know, I think nowadays it's a little, you know, we're in a different world, aren't we, when it comes to rock and roll and musicianship, and kind of that part of songwriting and all that seems to be lost upon maybe some newer generations at times. Tell us a little bit what you think of the current state of hard rock and heavy metal.
Man, you know, that's a really great question, and it's something I've been getting into more, not necessarily new bands, but newer and some new bands, because it's like a weird sort of mix where I feel like there aren't that many new rock bands at the same time. There's endless new rock bands, you know what I mean? Because with the internet, anyone can put it out, right? So there's a million bands releasing a million songs every fucking week, but you're not going to hear them because there's too many, right? It's overload. So only a few pop out. right? That's one of the bad things about the internet, right? It's like, okay, yes, freedom. They leveled the playing field. Anyone can put out a record and you could become the next viral sensation. Probably not, because there's a million goddamn other bands, right? You might be better than them, but it doesn't matter. There's just too much flooding the marketplace at the same time. So, you know, and whatever, I don't know enough about the marketing side of things to give any kind of real strategy on that, but still, it's a weird mix, right? Of there's not that many new rock bands, but there's a lot. So then the ones that do pop out, they're great. I mean, like, you know, I love Dirty Honey. I love, you know, again, some of the bands that aren't new, but new-ish, like Hailstorm. I mean, the new Hailstorm record is, I mean, that's one of the best fucking rock records I've heard in years. Like, every song is perfect, and there's great guitar playing too. So even if you just are into solos and riffs, that record has it. And then the songs are just like top-notch classic. They're gonna be around forever, you know, and all that type of stuff. And definitely found that more of the newer bands are on the heavier side, at least ones that are getting, you know, press and having hits and, you know, being on the radio. It's definitely leaning in a more, you know, like active rock, right? Like those big rock festival kind of Louder Than Life and Aftershock festivals, those type of heavier sort of almost metal bands, which, you know, I like too. So it's just different, you know, and I don't know. Am I answering your question?
Yeah. Listen, I heavy rock, people don't realize this, and people that are listening, there is a whole underbelly of the best heavy rock or hard rock is the stuff that are not chosen, meaning the labels and radio don't elevate up. That in some ways has a relation in the bloodline with bands like Tesla, versus what we're being fed is a little bit more of what you're talking about. So it's interesting. That's what our show is a lot of times is about. It's about helping move up some of these bands in America, because America's not listening to as much rock and roll, if we're being honest with each other. But the music, I mean, Rival Sons, probably the best band in the world right now. And they've been around for 12 years, but it took them, they've been around like probably 14 years, but it took them 10 years you to be noticed. And so that's part of what this show is about. My other show, Rock is Dead, the Guest List, where we pull out music that's for people, a lot of people like me and Matt and people our age, Generation X, and right behind it, that has out there. And Tesla, bands like that have that organic sound, that musicianship that Two Guitar Guys said. So rock isn't dead. And but it's morphed. But man, I think there's a revolution coming, and it's bands like you all playing live and still just, it's about the darn songwriting. It's about the beautiful tunes that can be played that don't require a zillion production, and you can actually play it live. And that's a big difference. There's an organic scene, and then there's the scene that's being peddled now. And Tesla, you guys belong in that organic scene, and just easily one of the all-time greatest hard and heavy rock bands of American history. That's enough from me.
Well, thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, it's probably fewer and far between, you know, bands that are like in that sort of organic 5 dudes in a room playing a song kind of thing. And again, I'm glad there are a lot of newer bands coming up like that, but the stuff that is more popular is usually not, except bands like Rival Sons, who I love. I mean, I just heard the few songs from the new record that have been released, and they're killer. But the last one, Feral Roots, holy fuck, that record is unstoppable. It's so weird. They're one of the most original bands out there, and that's for me personally, that's something I appreciate more than almost anything, is having a unique sound, and you know, standing out from the pack. And those guys, I mean, you can't, like, that's art. Those are weird chord changes and weird riffs. Like, no one else could have written any of those songs, whereas some other bands that might have hits. It's like, well, it's one of those kind of songs. And there's 10 guys in Nashville who wrote one like that last week. It's just that this one is the one that got on the radio. You know what I mean? But like like Rival Sons, like that is so unique. Like they're the only people who can do that. And so I always like artists like that in any kind of genre.
Yeah. He is such a unique rock star guitarist too. You see him live, the persona, and the way, again, he's not riffing, you know, kind of adds things along the way. They're like the shining light that still goes back to the basics and has some retro vibe, but creates something new and cool. So it's badass, man. I'm glad you share the same sentiment.
Yeah,
totally.
Awesome. Well, Dave, thanks so much. Really appreciate you coming on and talking to us for a bit. So before we wrap it up, I mean, I know you guys got some dates lined up too coming up. You know, I know you got Monsters of Rock Cruise that's coming up. So just talk about a little bit what Tesla's got going on in the future in terms of live shows, and maybe even if you guys got any new music coming out, possibly.
Yeah, you know, we're working on some new original stuff that, you know, hopefully we'll be able to put out probably another single like we've been doing the last couple of years, like one song before a tour, and you know, hopefully we'll get a new one sometime this year or next. But we've got the live record coming out, which is really cool. We recorded at Sturgis last summer.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty rocking. And then like I said, the Aerosmith cover bonus track going to be on that. So that'll be, you know, some new something, you know, and something fun, and it sounds great. So hopefully people will be into that. And then, you know, as far as live, we're just doing what we do, you know, hitting the road again. And middle of April, I think we're going out for about 3-4 weeks, and the Monsters of Rock Cruise is towards the end of that. Then we're doing 2 nights in a row in Orlando at House of Blues. I know, which, you know, it's one of those rare 2 nights in a row at the same place, but now it'll be, you know, only 2 nights, you know, after 5, right? So really looking forward to that. And, you know, we just have dates throughout the rest of the year. You know, usually we're doing festivals here and, you know, our own theater shows and here and there, you know, so just sort of a busy year, probably through the fall and kind of all over the US. So just really happy to still be out here doing it and playing some loud rock and roll.
Absolutely. And if you're in Las Vegas, obviously go check them out tonight. Too late because it's sold out, but there's still tickets available for Saturday the 18th, as well as March 22nd, 23rd, and 25th. And once again, Dave, we really appreciate you coming on talking to us. Good luck with the residency and with all the live shows, and we'll see you on the road.
Thank you so much for having me, man. Great to talk to you guys.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dave. Have a good one, bud.
Right.
Take care.